Hi there, viewers. Today's conversation is centered around the death of Deborah Samuel, a Nigerian who was killed by a Muslim friend for blasphemy. But before we move into it, permit me to introduce our speaker with you. And we have Mr. Famous Chukwuemeka joining us from Owerri in Imo State, and Mr. Wisdom also joining us from Abuja. You're welcome on the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Peter.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to be directing the question to one speaker at a time, and I'll be starting one after the other, like picking up the question one after the other. Now, something happened, and Deborah Samuel, a 200-level home economics student of Shehu Shagari College of Education in Sokoto, was publicly stoned and burned to death by a Muslim colleague for alleged blaspheming of Prophet Mohammed. I want to ask you, how do you feel about this? You love me to start from Mr. Famous. Mr. Famous, how do you feel about this terrible occurrence?
It's very unfortunate, and the first time I heard I got to know about it, I didn't really pay much attention to it because I thought probably she had done something very terrible to warrant that. Like, I was hopeful enough to think that for someone to be stoned to death by Muslims, probably she must have really gone extra. But to my shock and surprise, when I made my research on the story and I saw that it was just a statement, like not really blasphemy, so to say, but I felt ashamed, kind of. That feeling when you know that right now you are associated with something terrible. I'm talking about Nigeria, being in Nigeria now, and then this kind of thing is happening in your country, and you look at yourself and you're like, I'm a Nigerian, and that means I'm associated with this barbaric incident that has taken place in the country. So I felt ashamed. I think that was the first feeling I felt. Not really anger. I felt ashamed. I felt disappointed. I felt, then before I began to feel angry. And like I told you, it's really unfortunate that in this era, in this dispensation, people are still gripped by these animalistic behaviors, and I didn't expect this sort of behavior. Like, do you know the imagery it struck when I heard this? I began to think of those days when you drag a thief to the shrine, or maybe you drag a thief to the village square or to the market square because he or she stole something, and then you burn the person to death. And I'm asking, what's the essence of the courts in the land, the courts of justice, and these things that have been put in place to check what we know as jungle justice. So honestly, I felt ashamed that in a country like Nigeria, believed to be the giant of Africa, believed to be the most powerful Black nation in the world, that we can still, or some persons can still stoop so low to mete out such barbaric punishments to someone who they claim blaspheme their prophet. So it's quite unfortunate. Yeah,
it's just so bad. Also, when I get to hear about it, I was like, can you imagine this kind of thing still happening in our current world? And how, now I shift my thought based on conscience. I was like, how would people just kill a fellow human being because they said something against Muhammad? I was like, are they trying to defend Muhammad while Muhammad is over there, wherever he is, watching them? Do they even think Muhammad would be happy about this, that kind of heart? It's just so saddening, and it's a very, very terrible occurrence. Now, I was also going to ask you, knowing that this matter escalated from an academic environment, what image do you think this brings between education and religion?
It simply means that our educational sector is degenerated. It's highly degenerated, and I want to see education as a process that develops one or builds one into having what I term as an analytical mindset. What I mean is having a mindset that is able to, ask questions when necessary. But I've come to discover that under the umbrella of religion, sometimes questions are blasphemous. You don't just get to ask questions anyhow.
Anyhow.
And, yes, and it's quite really unfortunate because, okay, I was speaking with somebody sometime and I was asking some really deep questions about the Bible because I'm a Christian. But I still ask questions about the Bible, about stuff in the Bible that I don't really get clear about. And the person was telling me, some things about God is mysterious. We are not giving me the impression that it's not everything we should know about. Education for me in Nigeria is not really education, so to say. I think it's something else terrible. Because for these students to be in a university or a higher institution environment, an environment which is a higher institution, like I always term it animalistic occurrences to come up from an institution of higher learning, then it's a disgrace to Nigerian education. If there's something like that, the Nigerian education, it's a disgrace. It's what it simply means is that they are not really refining students to accommodate criticisms. People are, I really don't know much about Islam, but I think probably they're not really taken to people criticizing their religion, and even in Christianity too, some extremes in Christianity don't tolerate criticisms. And I find criticism very beautiful because without it, I don't think there is any usefulness to life. You understand? Because, and this is supposed to be the sole function of education, to make people understand that whatever you have chosen to do or whatever you find yourself doing at the moment, be it religion or any system of marriage or whatever, even a career, you have to tolerate criticisms. People will always tell you why this and why that about what you're doing. So these things are not being fulfilled very well in these institutions. And so it's not surprising that people who are students, who are passing through the modern system of learning, which should refine their mindset, are doing such a thing. It then means that the educational sector is failing in its duties.
It's so disheartening when I also get to know about it. Thank you for joining back again, Acha. Before you join back, we're talking about how you feel about Dick's death, the death of Deborah. Getting to know that it happens in an academic society. We also asked that, getting to know about the death of Deborah, how she was killed just because of blasphemy. What do you think about it? And how do you feel getting to know that this happened in an academic society?
For me, it's very disturbing because it's an institution that is supposed to shape people's minds. And if in an institution that is supposed to teach sanity, out of an institution where sanity is supposed to come in, we can have barbaric nature come out from it. It's something quite sad. Yes, I know what went around where some people were using to defend it. A lot of people brought up like the Islamic thing and everything. But I talked to some couple of friends of mine, and I have Muslim friends, and I strongly believe that them would do me this kind of harm. So it's painful because they brought in personal ideologies that are not really found or are not widely supported even by the religion that they claim to be, because they're using that religion as an excuse. Because I had to talk to some people, because I'm not an expert on Islam, so I had to talk to some people before coming here. So someone cited an example like this is not how it's supposed to be. Because if one of the things that is very disturbing is the fact that one due process was not even shown. Like there was not even a place. Let's say she blasphemed. Let's say she blasphemed. There was not even due process. She wasn't tried. She didn't face any instant judgment. Was just carried out on her, and that is very sad. That is very sad because the nexus of the issues are one. This is if someone is said to blaspheme you, okay, how did the person blaspheme you? What are the authorities that put in place for people to know what is blasphemy and what is not blasphemy? And if there are authorities that are put in place to know, okay, this is blasphemy, okay, what is now the punishment of blasphemy according to that authority? Did that person follow through that channel? Was that person follow the channel of that authority? No. But someone out of personal prejudice just came out and killed his classmate. Like, it's very disturbing because imagine somebody that you're going to school with. First year you were with the person, second year with the person. I don't think I would like to entertain the idea that anybody I went to school with would do me this kind of harm. It is traumatizing, honestly, because thinking about it alone, it's just very, very sad. And since the topic today, on the issue, I just feel like more people in power. We need more people in power who are condemning this act to openly declare and openly call for the perpetrators of this violence, call for their arrest, call for their prosecution. We can't keep having some people, some popular people side the issue, and other certain people are condemning the issue. It's giving a mixed signal all around, and it's really quite disturbing because I stay in the north, but I don't stay that far in the north. I have some friends that stay that far in the north, and the way they explain how they live is they're always having to walk on eggshells and making sure that you don't piss somebody off and all of these things. It's not the way we should live, because with freedom of speech, yeah, nobody is perfect. With freedom of speech, people are going to get offended. So we can't say once you get offended in my speech, I would die. Like it's so extreme. It's so extreme. It's so extreme. You can't just take people out of the census because you feel what they said was wrong, and then there's no authority that you follow through to make sure that this person seek justice. It's not something that should be commended on any level. That's what I feel about it. I'm really pained about it because as I'm speaking to you right now, somewhere close to where I stay in Abuja, there is a riot going on right now as I speak to you right now today. A lady was killed earlier today, and in the process of that, some bike men began to attack. It's just crazy. We can say the people doing that are not in the intellectual institution, but then a matter like this happening in intellectual institution and having a pilot tweet something that supports this, having a high class imam in Nigeria tweet something that supports this, post something that support this, even when the Sultan of Sokoto came out to condemn this act. It's just painful. It just goes to show that we are not united as a people.
Wow. Thank you about your response to that. I was also going to ask, I read that as of today, the government hasn't reached out to Deborah's parent, nor arrested the perpetrators of this act. Though a report from the police says that they've gotten to suspect. If this occurrence pass without justice, hopefully, I'm hoping that it wouldn't pass without justice, really. But supposedly it passes without the government doing anything about it, as it has been the case with several other incidents in the time past. What impression do you think this will create towards the enactment of other outrageous acts in future time?
I think for one, it is already stirring up outrageous acts going on. There's been a trend. After what happened in Sokoto, a school was up in Kano. I'm not saying these incidents are related. I'm not saying they are related. But after that, today in Abuja, we have a serious riot. Like you can almost see the trend. Is showing that the police are not up to the task. We take for instance normal situations where you have probably they arrest, they kidnap, it's suspected kidnapping. Those people are going to be paraded online. People are going to take their pictures. People are going to see them. Their face is going to be outside. But how come we have two suspects? They've not released the names of the suspect. They've not said who the suspect are. It's just showing in my personal view, I feel like there is going to be a cover-up. It is already looking like there's going to be a cover-up. Because if you stay in the north, you would know that there are incidents that occur day and day and day and day and just a few percentage of them actually make it to the media. I think what we can do at this, or I think what should be the reaction from us as a people together, is to continuously keep pushing that justice must be done for Deborah. Because we've seen a lot of massacre in Nigeria where justice is never really done for anybody.
At
But when
all.
we keep pushing justice to be done and put these people on their toes, give them a reason to act. Let them feel the unrest that we are feeling. No, I'm not calling for outrageous actions or people to go and do anything, but I'm saying let these people understand that there is a pain that is in our bones, and we'll continue to disturb and talk about it until we see justice for her. I believe that is one very good approach to this issue.
Yeah, let me get to know your opinion, Mr. Famous. What impression do you think this will create towards the enactment of other outrageous acts in future time if this action passes without justice or without the government doing anything about it?
It's going to embolden the extremists. That is what if this situation passes without the government doing anything, which, like my friend said, is likely that there's going to be a cover-up, because like he opined, there hasn't been any release of, I mean, in developed countries, when issues like this come up, you hear them say, okay, we've gotten 2 suspects named so and so, and they might even state their ages and, even try to give you reasons why these suspects are, because over there in developed countries and in very civilized nations, they are very careful when they are making arrests. You don't just arrest anybody you see. So they also try to give you reasons, try to explain to you why they feel these people are suspects. But here in Nigeria, it is not the case. We are just hearing that 2 suspects have been arrested. What are their names? We don't know. How do you know? How does the government know? Or why is the government suspecting those 2 people to have been involved in that act? We don't know anything. All we just know is that 2 people have been arrested. And I don't know where we are going to with this, because it is very disheartening, really, that incidents like this occur in Nigeria, and not just at present, even in the past. Like he said, this morning, another very terrible news rocked the nation, of which they talked about a bomb blast in Kano State, in Sabongari area of Kano State. And according to what we saw in the news, it occurred in the school.
I heard about it.
And we saw children who were injured and had blood all over their body. Things like this come and go, come and go, come and go. It just comes. We feel the heat at the moment, and at the end of the day, nothing is said about it. It is just swept under the carpet. So the truth is, this is not the first incident that is likely going to be swept under the carpet. There has been past, Boko Haram has been terrorizing so many parts of the north, and nothing significant has been done to really curtail these people. Yes, a shout out to the military. They are doing well, but then it is not really enough, because people are still killed, even on daily basis. There are numbers of people who are killed every day that doesn't even get to the media. I mean, an old woman who living in Adamawa State, somewhere, a village in Adamawa State, who just one day wake up and go to her farm and she gets killed by bandits, and nobody talks about this. You understand? So these things have come and go. Incidents like this have come and go, and nothing has been done about it. And the simple results, the consequences of not really bringing some of these perpetrators to book is you make others like them bold enough to come out to do certain things,
exactly,
to even do worse, and you make them bold. And in any society where justice is not served, where there is no justice, it's just as if that environment will just be a jungle. It's just going to be a jungle. I mean,
everybody
in the jungle,
the way they want.
Exactly. In the jungle, any animal can pounce as long as you're stronger. Any animal can pounce on any weaker animal and destroy it. And I mean, there is no law and order. It is going to be very terrible. Even future occurrences that we are yet to experience would even be worse than what is happening, you see. And the problem now is, this is Islam we are talking about. And you know that in Nigeria, majority of Nigerian population are Muslims, because we have more northern states, and almost more than 80% of these indigents in the north are Muslims. Sure. You understand? And the fact that these things are pointing to the fact that Islam on its own might have some level of intolerance associated with it, just as in Christianity too. You understand? Because there is something I'm very worried about, people who are extremists, and I have told a lot of friends that Africans, okay, let me not just say Africans, because I don't really know about those in North Africa and South Africa. Here in Nigeria, there are a lot of religious extremists, a lot of them, and this is exactly what has played out in the case of Deborah. Now, these are extremists who want to fight for their God, who wants to fight for Allah. Do you understand? And the much I know about Islam, I have Islamic friends, people who are devout Muslims, and I've been opportunity to glance through the Quran, even though I didn't understand anything, but my friend was explaining some things to me. And that religion is meant to be peaceful. It's meant to tolerate. It was made to tolerate other religions too. So the African man or the Nigerian religious man has this. The average Nigerian religious man has this tendency to be an extremist, and that is because we are very vulnerable. We are vulnerable in the sense that, when the colonial masters came to the country, and, they are the ones that brought this religion, Islam, Christianity, and the rest, even education too. We accepted it. We weren't able to resist them because we are vulnerable. So once you give a vulnerable man an idea or a concept, he stretches it beyond what it is supposed to be. And that is the case here in Nigeria. We are stretching a lot of things. We are stretching a lot of things, especially religion. We are stretching it beyond what it is supposed to be. And I'm sure even in Christianity too, you must have seen videos of pastors, Christian pastors, doing absurd things, like maybe telling their members to eat grass. I watched a video recently, I think that was 2 days ago, where a pastor was, using a stick to flog a lady on her sole of her feet, on the sole of her feet, just because, according to him, that is a spiritual act given to him by God to do to that lady so that she can get married. Wow. These things are extremes. So I think it's high time the government needs to check some of these things and be intentional about it, not just speaking mere words of the mouth. And like the governor of Sokoto just came out and immediately he declared the state of emergency. And we are used to all those things, and it's not helping issues. It's not helping issues. So they need to mobilize the military, they need to mobilize the police, they need to mobilize anything they can mobilize to make sure that acts like this are checked. I mean, this picture is really going to disgrace Nigeria in the international platform, because for me, like I told you initially, it's very disgraceful that a country like Nigeria is supposed to be the most powerful black nation in the world, like I said, acting this way. And at the end of the day, these things are not checked. They are still swept under the carpet, and the next day something else will still happen, and the next day, and the next one crumbles. So if I pray, like you said, I hope that the government will be intentional this time around, because this is a very sensitive issue. If it is not taken care of now, if the government does not do anything to take care of this now, trust me, more Islamic extremists will rise up tomorrow and cause more chaos and destroy more lives. That is just the truth. It's high time the check and try to educate people more, allow people, make people to have open minds, a mind that tolerates other people's opinions. So that is what I have to say.
Yeah, I can understand with that. Even it's in the Bible that if judgment against an evil man is not quickly executed, his heart is fully set in them to do evil. So if things like this are not covered in the society, we are prone to see more and more issues, devastating issues occurring. So I'm just gonna take a short break. I have 2.52 minutes left for this call to end. I'm gonna send you another link immediately after this go off, that we can continue for the next question. It just within 1 minute, I'm going to do that. Okay. Famous for that answer to the question. Now, during a protest in Sokoto, group of youths led by some adults in the background attacked the Holy Family Catholic Cathedral at Belowe, all in the name of this occurrence. They destroyed church glass windows, and those of Bishop Lawton Secretariat were also attacked, and a community bus parked within a premise was vandalized. And I also watched a video of how a woman was beaten with stick, and why you need to watch the video. It's very painful. What do you have to say?
Yes, I watched it.
Yeah, what do you have to say about this act?
Well, still barbaric. Everything around this issue is just a key. It's really, and it's not expected of a civilized, of a supposed civil world, Nigeria. Very bad. And there is a video I watched on YouTube a certain time where Wole Soyinka was being interviewed on religion.
Yeah, I watched that video on religion.
Okay, and he made a statement which he said maybe we are better off in religion. And one of his reasons for making that statement is that religion has, in addition, we won't deny the fact that yes, religion has added some advantages to the society. It has brought some nice stuffs to the society. But on the other hand, it has, to an extent, captured the minds of not really certain, a lot of people. It has enslaved a lot of people, such that people don't understand what it means to tolerate. People don't understand what it means to be open-minded. People don't understand what it means to accommodate opinions of other people.
Yeah.
And thereby cohabiting amongst themselves. A group of youths who obviously have been captured by the extreme parts of religion, because somebody blasphemed their prophet and they stoned the person to death. I mean, is it not enough punishment already?
No.
It is. Killing somebody, it is enough punishment already. But I think I read somewhere that they were doing that in respect to the two people who were arrested. They wanted the government to release those two people, claiming that they are not terrorists. So the government needs to release them. And so, as a way of protesting,
they went to go and attack the church.
They went to attack a church. And I was even reading somewhere that they also proceeded to attack some Igbos.
Wow.
Some Igbos, and they were burning down shops. And I watched the video where they were burning down, where they were using sticks and stones to be hurling at shops and people, of which you can never really believe what the media says, but of which I heard are Igbos. And I'm asking myself, what kind of mentality do these people have, that somebody will just wake up one morning and your own way of protesting is to attack fellow individuals, to attack people who don't know anything about what Deborah said, and who are not even students of the College of Education. So that goes to show you how much intolerance Nigerians have amongst themselves, that any little criticism against any group or sect, they transfer aggression as quick as possible to even innocent people who don't even know that such a girl as Deborah exists in Sokoto, and they have transferred aggression. So it's very bad. It's very barbaric. It is very low of us. It is very low-minded, shallow-minded of those youths to attack churches, to attack people. And yes, I watched that video of the woman that they were flogging, and they were hitting her with sticks. I watched the video. Like, always felt, since this incident came up, I felt really ashamed. I felt really ashamed, and I was so bothered. And I was like, look at this woman in her house that doesn't know what has happened. Probably she was in her kitchen preparing dinner for her family, and they just came in and dragged her out and they started to flog her. So it's very bad. It's very terrible. It's very, everything about this incident is terrible.
Wow. It's so terrible too. When I get to know about all this, I felt so bad about it. Now I want to ask you, because lots of Nigeria has viewed this occurrence differently, with many people viewing it as a religion-based issue and outrightly condemning Islam over Christianity because of the stupid act of Deborah's colleague. Now, I know that this might be a kind of a difficult question to ask, but do you think that this occurrence are the negligence, the current negligence, let me use the word, current negligence of the federal government at taking judicial action against the perpetrators of Deborah's death? Do you think it reveals the agenda of Islamites in Nigeria, or do you think it's just the ineptness of the law enforcement agencies?
The truth is we won't immediately say that the negligence of the federal government towards this issue is a way of trying to point out the agenda of Islamizing Nigeria. We won't immediately say, because truthfully we also need to be careful with the things we say. I mean, the kind of propaganda we push forward. You understand? But what I see is, right from the inception of Nigeria, right from 1960, when Nigeria gained independence, every government that has been in power has this attitude of ineptness, has this attitude of taking for granted issues that disturb the masses, that disturb Nigerians. So I think this is just another example of the government, just the same way they are, they keep silent about, the high price of fuel. And then now currently ASU is on strike, and, they keep telling us, they keep feeding us information that they're having meetings upon meetings. And then, price food is high, cost of transportation is high. I mean, look at flight tickets, flight fare right now is, I think, 50,000 naira above. You understand? So the government has always been keeping silent about issues that bother the society. Simply there. This just shows you that, like I said, we won't just say, because they are not there for the masses. They are not there for Nigerians. They are not there to protect the country. They are not there to better the lives of Nigerians. They are there for themselves. Do you understand? And with the next election, the next presidential election around the corner, you see a lot of, and I'm seeing a lot of people who really don't have anything to offer, but they want to come into power.
To be president.
It's just obvious that these people are out there for something else other than the welfare of Nigerian citizens. And it's bad. It's just another this issue that has come up, and the government is keeping calm. I heard that your president said, because he's definitely not my president, said that he condemned the killings, and then he went further to say, but people should learn how to tolerate other people's religions or views. Yes, that is a very good statement, but not at this point in time. That is not the statement people need to hear at this point in time, because when you mix that kind of statement, you give off the impression that you are partly in support of what
happened,
this more, yes, of what happened, you are partly in support of it. And that is not the impression anybody should be getting from the president of the country like Nigeria. He should have been neutral. He should have made a statement that should have been neutral, condemn the act, and promise Nigerians that you are going to do everything within your power to bring the perpetrators of this crime to make sure that justice is served to them. But because, like you said, because of their ineptness and their negligence towards issues that bother the society, they take these things for granted. And when issues like this come up, they just do nothing much about it. Trust me, this is Nigeria. This might be swept under the carpet. Like Acha Wisdom said, this might be swept under the carpet because once the trend dies down, and the government keeps abreast with what happens on social media. Once the trend on social media calms down and maybe something else comes up on social media that picks up the attention of Nigerians, trust me, the government on
that will be the end of it.
That will be the end of it, and nobody at the end, nobody will brought to it. So it's negligence. It's just the general negligence of the government in general. This is just negligence playing out. Not really, I would say Islam, the agenda of Islamizing Nigeria.
Wow. It's obvious that Nigeria acts no law, or we have law and nobody is taking it. Nobody is working with it. And once there is an act like this, a criminal offense like this, and it go freely without anyone doing anything about it, it makes everything much more difficult and the environment turns into chaos. With the Nigerian 2023 presidential election approaching and the mootness of the presidential aspirant over this issue of the brass belt, what impression do you think this places on the country's politics?
Country's politics is dirty.
Very dirty.
That is what it means. Very dirty and very selfish. And yes, they won't say anything. They won't say anything because they are all after winning the election so that they can get in there and fill their bags with nation's money. So I'm not surprised that they haven't said anything. It's expected. I mean, I would even be surprised if they come out to voice out their opinions, to condemn the issue. But I would even be surprised, But this also goes to tell you that this government, this issue of, the Nigerian leaders, or I won't call them leaders because these are not leaders. That word leader has a very deep meaning. So these people who just move into these offices, these places of authority to become our rulers for their own selfish interests. This has come to stay in Nigeria. Except I really don't know the extent of revolution that will take place to oust these people. I mean, this sect of old men who just come out. I was reading the other day online, and this man, Tinubu, was promising free education. And I was asking myself, yes, free education, so that people like this Muslim youth will still go to school and end up killing more people who try to criticize their religion. Our leaders have failed to understand that to solve the problem of Nigeria, you need to work on human resources. It's not enough giving us 24 hours of electricity or building good roads and opening more schools and getting jobs out there. You understand? That is one thing I love about the US. The US has two dominant political parties, which is the Republican and the Democratic Party. And these parties are formed based on ideologies. They're not just formed just to be political parties. No. The Republicans are known as conservatives. These are people who believe in some moral principles, while the Democrats are known as the liberals who believe in freedom to do anything you want to do. So you discover that even amongst the Americans, the masses, the American citizens, they are shared into these two parties. You know, you will see an American who has not really registered with the political party, but he will be proud to tell you that he's a Republican. But he hasn't, because he's a Republican, because he simply shares with the ideas of the Republicans. And someone else will tell you he's a liberal, he's a Democrat, because he shares with the ideas of the Democratic Party. This how, and you can see how it's helping the mindset of people. You understand? In any country, in any place in the world, human resource is the ultimate resource that needs to be worked up, that needs to be refined, because it is what will drive the other sectors of production, of development, of civilization, human resources. So if the human resource is thinking shallow, then the country will sink. So the problem we have in our politics is we have leaders who are thinking shallow and who don't know how to inculcate the right methods of thinking into the masses. They just go in there and they just answer the name President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, or Governor of so state, and that is just it. They don't know how to relate with the emotions of the masses. They don't know how to relate with, they don't know how to fine-tune the thinking patterns of Nigerians, because they themselves are lacking upstairs. So I wish Nigeria, it's high time we understand that politics is not just going there and answer that name and answer president or governor. Politics is a space where you go in and, you know, involve everybody. It's like it's supposed to be a cycle. Politics is supposed to get to everyone. You know, more like taking the government to the people. But they have so stratified it in a way that those who are in government are in heaven, and those who are not in government, who are just the masses, are in hell. And that is the problem, why people who are in hell can go on killing themselves, and those who are in heaven, which is the political leaders, they are selfish. They went there for their own interest. They're enjoying themselves there. They do little or nothing at all to come to the rescue of people down here in hell who are dying. So that is just the problem with Nigeria. So I wish and I pray that a time will come when these things will be overturned, and we'll have people in politics who, when issues like this come up, they come out openly and condemn it, and, you know, take very deliberate acts to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Yeah, so that's it.
Wow. It's obvious that talking about Nigeria is very devastating. All this issue is very, very, like, so sad. It's so sad. You know, I also want to ask, because I know that this is not the first time that a Christian has been killed by a Muslim in Nigeria. And it's so rampant during the Boko Haram time, as we all know, that our government, through their lack of concern and empathy, begin to sadly view killing as a normal thing. You know, considering the right to religion in Nigeria, how do you think this influences religion in Nigeria?
Well, yes, like you said, this is not the first time a Christian has been, Christians have been killed in the north. The very typical example is the Boko Haram insurgents in the north. Yeah. Also, they have destroyed a lot of Christians, and with their agenda, with their agenda of trying to create an Islamic state here in Nigeria, of which they call ISWAP, Islamic State of West African Province. Yes, you know, religion itself can be very toxic, depending on how it is practiced, and the problem is the people who are practicing Islam, or majority of the people who are practicing Islam, not exposed to good in Nigeria. I don't think our education is good enough to bring about that intellectual change in someone's mind. You understand? So the problem with religion in Nigeria is that it is toxic. People are making it toxic. People are making it poisonous, and it has caused more harm than good. That is just the truth. We hear issues of Muslims killing Christians. And yes, in some places too, Christians also killing Muslims too, though it is very rare. Because of Boko Haram, it's more like it is Muslims killing Christians. And these things are happening. Like in the case of Deborah, I read somewhere that an imam in Abuja, a respected Muslim cleric, came out openly to tweet something that, shows that he supports what his Muslim brothers did. Now, this is supposed imam or a cleric, an authority in the religion, who is supposed to, teach the right things and let his followers know that violence, because the truth is Islam is not a violent religion. It was not created to be a religion of violence. You understand? So this is somebody who is supposedly an authority in the religion, who is supposed to, teach his people that violence is not the answer to even blasphemy. I mean, here in Christianity too, a lot of things about the church has been blasphemed, and churches have been criticized. A lot of things about by the society, and now I'm not comparing religions, but I'm trying to, because of what has happened, and it's happened with Muslim people. You understand? These things are telling you the extent to which the very toxic extent to which religion here in Nigeria is taking to. In the days of Jesus Christ, I've not really studied the life of Mohammed, but I believe he was, as Jesus Christ was, I believe he was that way too. Yes. So, in the days of Christ, there was tolerance. We could see tolerance playing out. We could see him even when the soldiers that came to carry him to crucify him came with their swords and everything. I mean, that's a form of criticism. They came, and the Apostle Peter, out of violence, because he saw them coming to seize their master, out of violence, he cut off the ear of one of the soldiers. Christ told him, "Don't fight for me. If I want, I can ask my Father to send angels and they will destroy these people." Do you understand? But here, I don't know who is really teaching us these things. We are now made to believe that we can fight for our own gods.
Which is very, very funny.
Very funny and very terrible. I mean, in those days, even in the days of traditional worship, our forefathers and our ancestors respected their gods and allowed their gods to fight for them. Whenever a thief comes to a compound and steals, or maybe whenever somebody does something evil or terrible, they take the matter to their gods, to the shrine. They take it to their gods and they tell them, handle this issue for us. And supposed to be a system where humans, as physical as we are, we submit ourselves to a supreme being, a supernatural being, and ask that being to, protect us, provide for us, and even protect us from our enemies. But a situation where in a place like Nigeria, we stretch religion to now make us believe that sometimes you can still go out and fight for your God. I mean, it's very disappointing. It's very funny. So this issue has really shown that religious leaders in the country, they have a big role to play, both in Islam and in Christianity and in other forms of religious practices in the country. They have a very big role to play. So I think maybe it's high time some of these religious leaders probably organize stuff like retreats where they gather their followers together and really teach them the right things. Though the problem could also be these religious leaders themselves. Do they actually know what is right? Just like I said, that imam that tweeted in support of what these people did, somebody like that, if he's to teach his followers, he will also teach them the way of violence. You understand?
Exactly.
So I really don't know where these issues need to be addressed. But in general, I think it's high time religious leaders step up and, correct some of these mentalities that their followers carry around and cause havoc and trouble to the society.
Wow.
So,
Wow. Thank you so much for the answer to that question. I so much appreciate it. And, I've always been a lover of this, and I've been imagining how someone think he can fight for God. Take, for instance, I want to fight for God who lives in heaven. It's not possible. It's not going to happen. And for people to gather themselves, this is not one person, it's not two, it's not three. They gang themselves together and stoned this young girl to death just because she said something against Prophet Mohammed. And we have people there who joined together after stoning her, they burned her down. It's so sad. It's just so sad. I'm gonna leave a video after this interview for viewers to have an idea of what really happened. I'm gonna also leave some articles, link to some articles in the description part of this video. Thank you so much, Mr. Famous, for accepting the invitation to come and talk on this piercing and disturbing issue. I so much appreciate it. Some speakers cannot join us in the line. Hopefully, they will join us in the next edition on Friday. So thank you so much. I appreciate you for coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.